Good morning and welcome to Cooking with the Captain Christmas Eve morning white Christmas edition. If you look out the window, we ordered some snow for this morning's specialty. Today is an awesome recipe for a lot of reasons, right? Very special night tonight, family, friends. This is a showstopper, right? So I should give you a little background on this. For years, every time that we got together with my grandparents from Maine, my grandmother would make her special recipe of Lobster Newburg. So the cool part about this, so we're gonna make some Lobster Newburg, but my grandmother, who is 96, when she passed away, she left me the recipe, the secret recipe for her Lobster Newburg. So it's with a lot of love that I make today's recipe and share with all of you. Hopefully, you know, what you'll find is that this is an easy dish to make. Most people have, you know, lots of lobster hanging around at their house in the freezer. I'm sure that you all do. If you don't, they sell it at the grocery store. So, again, rule one with the captain, hydrate. So today, we're gonna have a little wine made by Gino, very important in Connecticut, part of New England's passion for sports and cooking. So we're happy enough to have Gino's wine served while we're cooking, and we're going to throw some into the Lobster Newburg after. So, because we wanted to make sure things went a little bit faster this time, what we've done is we have picked lobster meat, right, that you can buy frozen. You defrost it. It's perfect for Lobster Newburg, but because we're going to bring it up a little bit because it is Christmas Eve, we have lobster tails. So take a couple lobster tails out. Got to let them cool a little bit so we don't burn ourselves after when we get the lobster meat out of the tails. That's the trickiest part probably. So I'll run those under some cold water in a couple minutes. So starts with your shallots and your chopped celery into your pan. So you want to get that going. So that starts to soften up a little bit, right? That's perfect, right? You have 4 eggs. Technically, you have 4 egg yolks and then 2 whites of the eggs. So you want to put that into a bowl and you want to mix that with some half and half. That's going to be your base to the Newburg. So when you ask about how much, I'm going to say how much Newburg do you want to make. That all depends. So depends how much lobster meat you're going to use. So lobster meat for today, we probably have about 2.5 pounds of lobster meat. All right. So you want to beat that quickly. All right. Just get the eggs broken up in there with the half and half. All right. And we have our vegetables over here. They're sauteing, which is great. A little butter in the bottom of the pan. Want to turn it down to medium, right? This is a little hot, this butter. Let's turn that down. All right. And then what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to take your other lobster that you have, pour it into the pan. All right. Let that start to warm up a little bit. Put a big chunk of butter in there, full stick, right? Because you can never have really too much butter in anything. A doctor wouldn't like to hear me say that, but that's the truth of the matter for cooking. All right, so lobster's warming up, the butter's in there, got your vegetables in there. Awesome so far. Those are starting to get to the point where you can start to cut them. Let's see. I'm gonna put a smidge of dry mustard. Smidge is just a little bit more than a dusting, right? That's about enough for this, right? That's to start that. Now, you want to put your flour in with your lobster. So that's about a half a cup. Why? Because I said so. But again, it all is about the feel and making sure you got all that coated, right? So that's what it's going to look like. It almost looks like a little bit of a roux in there, right? So you get that, let that start to thicken up a little bit. All right, That's nice. So that's what it's supposed to look like. All right, at this point. All right. So let's see if we can zip through these. Right. So these shears are actually, again, they're my grandmother's shears. She probably had them for, I don't know, somewhere in the vicinity of 40 plus years that she's been doing this. So you just want to split that up a little bit. Lobster's fighting me here. That and it's hot. All right, well. Problem with the lobster is it's hot. So. All right, so you got some nice big chunks there. Turn that down, turn that down. Get that out of the way. We'll do this a little faster than last time. Captain is fighting with the lobsters right now, which I'm sure you're going to think is funny, but that's how it goes sometimes. You have to pick the lobster meat out of the shell. Making this part of it look a lot harder than it is, but that's how that goes sometimes. I'm going to add that other lobster back in afterwards. I don't want to hold you up. I know you're getting hungry watching this. And it's really pretty good. All right. So, we have our lobster. Our lobster is in good shape right there. We stirred that up. Now, a couple things that you want to do. Sorry for the delay. I was taking a little bit. The lobster was fighting. There's a rumor that the captain might have been out last night, dressed up in a cat costume that blinks, but we're not quite sure if we can confirm or deny that. For right now, we're going to say that that's just a rumor. Which would be one of the reasons he might be a little slower than normal. All right, so now you have your lobster stock, right? You took and boiled the lobsters, so you got lots of good lobster stuff in here. You're going to put that into your pan. That's going to be part of your base. All right. So again, depends on how many people you have, how much lobster you have. That's where you want to start that. So turn that back up. All right. We're going to add a little bit of flour to the egg and half now. And stir that in over here. All right, so that's probably about a quarter of a cup. All right. Hydration is key. All right, so this is nice. This is thickening up right here, right, with your flour. This is good over here. All right, looks good so far. So now we have our half and half and our flour mixture and our eggs. We don't want to pour it all in. We want to pour a little bit in at a time. So let's start it like that. All right. Now we want to mix it around a little bit. I'm going to turn the heat up a little bit on this so that it starts to thicken. It looks good so far. Right? So that is definitely going to be rich. That's the one thing. Put the other part in there. All right. So far, so good. That just needs to thicken up. Break up these last 2 eggs here. All right. So we're going to keep this on the heat for a while longer, right? So it starts to thicken up. All in all, you probably have about 3/4 of a cup of flour in here so far. And you'll see there's little pieces that are sticking onto the lobster, which is fine because you want it to be creamy. Now, a couple things that are like the secret recipes that some people don't know about, and this is, I was surprised to find this out when I went through the recipe. Right, is that there's American cheese in this. So you take slices of American cheese, you break them up, right, and then you start to chunk them up a little bit, just shred them up with your hands, right, and then you mix that in with your Lobster Newburg, and that will thicken it up. So we'll get all that in there, all right, and that was probably, someone said how many slices or how much weight was it? It was probably about 1/4 pound of cheese. And again, that's American cheese. So get that. It starts to thicken up. All right. And that's most of the ingredients, right? It's going to take a couple minutes for it to thicken up. So what we're going to do is we're going to let this thicken up a bit, right? And then we're going to come back after the sea dog stops barking, and we're going to put some popovers into the oven. Come back when those are cooked. Put a little paprika on top of this, right? Which is great. And secret ingredient, sherry. All right. It's about 1/3 of a bottle. All right. So about 4 or 5 ounces, right? And then just a little bit of white wine too. So a total of about 6 ounces of wine. You can use both. You can use white wine alone, or you can use sherry alone, whichever you like best. I like to use both. And that's it. So we'll come back in a little while. Hopefully we haven't gone too fast. I know there was a little bit of a slow part where we opened up that lobster that was fighting me. We'll come back, we'll see how it thickens up, and we'll take the popovers out and see how they all come out. All right, thanks. Part 2 of Lobster Newburg White Christmas Edition, New Year's Eve. We just took out the popovers out, right? We finished picking the lobster that was in the lobster tails that we had a little problem with before. They were fighting me. So the Newburg is thickened up. We have a little popover here on our plate, right? This is beautiful, right? So let's just get a nice amount here. All right, get a nice big piece of tail meat right there. All right, and there it is. New Year's Eve is coming soon. You might want to make this if you don't make it today. There's still time. The stores are open. Run down there, make it tonight, make it tomorrow, make it New Year's Eve. From our family to your family, Merry Christmas and have a Happy New Year. From the Captain and the Mermaid.